want to look at this next. I want to look at some weird vTuber shit. I guess we're talking about some of the trans culture. We might as well. There's another thing for me was like trans meme culture and like trans online communities, which is so unrelatable to me. You get all this like weird communism stuff crowbarred in. You'd get all this like weird anti-landlord stuff where it's like, well, I work in this area and it's just not what you think it is. And occasionally I'd wade in and be like, you know, this isn't really how you think it is. I get dogpiled every time. People talking about how we should kill all the landlords. And I'm like, what's this got to do with trans? And also, this is kind of fucked up. And I don't know. I think one of those things was like how I got banned from at least one like major meme page on like Facebook or some shit back in the day. I don't know. Crazy. Yeah, I've got 2 videos by this person. This might make you die of cringe. I'm not sure. I haven't actually seen this person before. But this is yukkoEX. Anyone know who this is? They're quite big, apparently. Trans women had their own school. It's quite a short video, but I've got another one that's making a bit more of a point. Well, let's have a look.
Let's start class with emotional regulation. How about you regulate D's?
Oh my god, shut up. Hey, Teach, what if I just eat my feelings away?
Well, that's not necessarily healthy.
What do you mean it's unhealthy? Are you calling me fat? Hey, yeah, question. If I encounter transphobe IRL, what do I do?
Generally, don't engage. Escalating conflict is less than ideal.
Escalating? What if I'm the one starting the conflict?
You can start with suck conflicting D.
Oh my god, are you always like this?
No need to crash out, sis. Yeah, as far as conflict goes, I recommend just not.
What if my roommate eats my last emotional regulatory pickle? Is conflict okay then? But like, it's not just my last pickle, it's my favorite pickle brand.
Kind of valid at that point, but violence is never a good go-to. Maybe a healthy discussion on—
I choose violence!
And that concludes our lesson on emotional regulations. I'll see you tomorrow. Late again, Nadia. Yeah, what are we learning today? Well, it's gonna be a little bit difficult, but voice training lessons today.
Yeah, I already trained, so can I just like skip class?
Well, there's always room to revise and improve, so let's—
Yeah, I'm gonna skip class.
All right, Budget. Budget is asleep. Okay, you. Wait, who even are you?
Oh yeah, I'm not actually trans. I'm just here to pick up chicks.
Get out of my classroom. Today, we're going to learn about fashion.
Nice, finally something interesting.
Whatever your budget was before.
Budget, basket,
Brisket,
bayonet,
bayonet,
bagel.
Damn it, okay, well hold up. Stop. We need to get through one class at least.
Yeah, I know who this is. I'm just giving you a flavor for this kind of trans culture stuff, I guess.
I don't have money, so learning fashion is redundant. Okay, then get a job. Yeah, trying to, but kind of hard with people, you know, being generally shitty. Then sell something. The only thing I have of value is my computer, and there's no way I'm selling that. Okay, then here, get creative. Yo, sick! Okay, be back in 5.
Wait, do we get one?
Yeah, fine, after we get through this lesson.
Lame. Yeah, lame.
Look, when it comes to fashion, it's all about expression. Don't try to conform yourself to what you think is the standard style for women if that style isn't something you personally align with.
Makes sense. Checks out, yeah.
But also be willing to let yourself explore. Don't let fear guide your decisions, okay? If you want to try in a skirt, but there's emotional barriers, don't let those lock you into place for too long.
Wise. Super duper wise, yeah. So can we have an ouchie dispenser now? Ooh, catchy name.
No.
Oh, but we did a learn. Ma'am, we did do a learn, so it's only fair.
After you pass this exam, budget, skirt, go.
Spinny duh.
Okay, this is too painful for me. I'm just going to skip to the next one. So this is one with an actual point. I guess you get the flavor or whatever. This is how the LGB without the T harms all LGBTQIA+. So the person that we just watched, they're gonna try and make a serious point. And like the comments aren't a great indicator. Is this the advice Bo Black's got? Yeah, probably. This is so terrifying. Like the absolute audacity that erased trans people from the Stonewall movement is insane. Like, that's your go-to. You're terrified because they removed trans people from Stonewall. I don't fucking get it, man. Leopards eating faces party, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Look at someone like Blair White. Have the leopards ever eaten her face? It kind of seems like the leopards are the woke types. You can't spell Stonewall without the T. Remember Marsha P. Johnson, who was not trans, and Sylvia Rivera. Was she trans? I can't remember. I don't think so. Erasers from history. Are you being erased from history? I don't fucking know. Removing us from Stonewall is horrifying. Like, Jesus Christ. I don't know, man. They removed trans people from Stonewall. I'm trans too. Somehow I remain unaffected. Maybe because I didn't like fucking Stonewall in the first place. But hey, let's have a look.
At the time of making this video, there are 388 anti-LGBT.
So first of all, when they cite these kind of things, they're never specific about any of them. Some of these will be about things like sports. Some of these will be things about Sylvia Rivera was trans but wasn't there. Okay, fair enough. Some of these will be about trans kids. These are things that trans people aren't even in unison for, like LGBTQ+. Lesbians, gays, bisexuals might well not be for trans people in sports or trans kids, but we lump them in anyway. This is kind of bullshit argumentation usually.
LGBTQ bills being pushed in the USA. I'm here to prove with this.
And by the way, almost none of them will succeed. You get plenty that seem pretty redundant when you look into them. Like you see ones about like trans military bans and stuff. Often trans people who are medicalized can't enter into the military anyway. There's 500 now and a lot have to do with schools. Yeah, well, how are those like anti-LGBTQ plus things when plenty of people in that group of people don't even necessarily want this kind of shit pushed in schools? You know what I mean? The leopards eat faces meme is such a common cope. Yep, and it's usually projection because usually these are the people eating other people's face for not agreeing with them. But hey, I haven't watched this person, so. Cosplay cat kitty. I'll have to look into that sometime. I need to get onto the Destiny thing as well.
Historical and recent examples as to why LGB without the T is the first step towards abolishing the right.
Okay, so slippery slope fallacy. I mean, one could argue that transgender rights led the way for us to start medicalizing children, sterilizing children, invading women's sports, invading women's prisons, stuff like that. So I don't know. I think we need to stop with the slippery slopes things both ways, to be honest.
Rights of the LGBTQ at large. Given this video,
like my guess is it's going to be, well, look at history. This happened, that happened. And it's like, well, we don't live in the same time.
Is about broader implications. I will start with a quick historical recap. The USA used to have many laws that were recontextualized or created to suppress the LGBTQ. Sodomy laws criminalized same-sex relationships. Masquerade laws required individuals to wear clothing that was deemed suitable for their assigned gender at birth. Disorderly.
The leopards eating leftist faces off are largely other leftists. Yeah, I agree. Listen, I lean left myself. I get shit from like right leaners now and then, but overwhelmingly it was much more the other people.
Conduct laws disallowed same-sex dancing, public displays of affection, or simply being in LGBTQ plus spaces. At the time, these laws led to...
Also, maybe this delivery is just... it works better for younger people, I don't know. Like, something about the way they're talking, it's very, like, forced and very kind of... like, you're forcing your voice through your nose a little bit. It's not very pleasant to listen to, just saying. LGBTQ didn't exist back then. Yeah, true. But yeah.
LGBTQ members, being them gay, lesbian, trans, etc., getting kicked out of places like public cafes and bars. Ultimately,
yeah, I don't know how this person thinks that that's going to happen now. Like, the right has become a lot more broadly accepting of gay people. Like, gay people have backed, like, the right in larger numbers now.
LGBTQ was forced to either find places that would allow them to be present or to stay inside. And yes, unfortunately, the places that did allow them to be present were met with routine visits from the police. At said bars, whether or not you were trans, police could arrest you for wearing clothing that they deemed inappropriate for your gender. So, primarily, trans individuals were the first to be harassed under this law. But that didn't mean that under this law, only trans people were the ones that were harassed. As an example, if you decided to dress a little less feminine one day as a lesbian, you could be met with the same abuse. This abuse could include incarceration, public humiliation, and even sometimes being admitted to psychiatric facilities. This affected...
What are these sources they're using? Like, it's all very well and good finding little clips of news things. But like, what even is that? What are they talking about specifically? Who fucking knows? And yeah, it probably sucked back then. Why does it mean that that's going to happen again? Like, we're going to have to do a lot of work to make that work. And we don't have a very long video to do it in either.
Actively acted as a countrywide dress code in such a...
Masquerade laws, what are they? This conflates cross-dressers with trans individuals. Yeah, potentially. I mean, we like to assume that if someone was gender non-conforming in any way in history, that must mean that they were trans, which is not true. They raided Stonewall because of underage drinking, so there was a lot of kids there kicked out by their family because they were gay. Oh, really? I'd have to look into that. 19th century. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is what we always do. We always hark back to history. Oh, well, this happened before. So if it happens again, or how something else resembles that thing that happened in history now, then it means we're going back in time. We're going back to that time when people were so oppressed, when I just don't see how that's going to happen. We don't live in the same world that we used to. People have a lot different understanding of like homosexuality in this day and age than we did back in the day. You know what I mean? Transbians have forced lesbians out of their app spaces, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. These laws stopped being a thing in the 1800s. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we have to like evoke history constantly. Like the US drag bans. What actually happened with those? I don't even know.
The way that trans people were the ones targeted as the villain, but anyone remotely dressed in a non-binary way could be persecuted. All of this is what led...
Non-binary way. What time period are we talking to? Non-binary way. Non-binary was not a fucking thing in the time that you're talking about. Like, what kind of time are we talking about here? I don't know what time period they're talking about, but talking about this non-binary, like, non-binary, like people just dress differently. I don't know, man.
As a lesbian, you could be met with the... Trans people were the ones targeted as the villain, but anyone...
Like, it's very unclear as to whether any of the people they're talking about are trans, for sure. We like to apply our modern understandings of things and our modern concepts to history as a very risky thing to do, because these people might have lived their lives a completely different way to how trans people do today. You know what I mean? These people quite possibly did not think they were literally born in the wrong body, for example.
Remotely dressed in a non-binary way could be persecuted. All of this is what led up to the Stonewall riots. And if you've been following up until this point, I'm sure you too are at least skeptical as to why the TQ+ was removed from the Stonewall Memorial website. It's not about historical accuracy, it's about division and sending a message which will be abundantly
How so?
clear shortly in this video. And for those that
Okay, amazing.
don't know, the Stonewall riots are what led...
Drag laws that have been passed in the USA are laws that specify what adult entertainment is, meaning kids can't be there, so it's not just no drag shows. Yeah, I was about to say, like, Jesus Christ. Like, we can stick the two together. Like, we've got this pink news thing. This is from almost 2 years ago. How come gay people aren't getting, like, locked up en masse because one of them went out in, like, a fishnet shirt instead of a suit and tie like a man is supposed to, you know what I mean? How come we haven't really seen that kind of backslide, and that like gay people more and more are starting to support like right-leaning things instead of left-leaning things, because the left is going way too far with some shit and the right seems to be like slowly catching up.
Led to LGBTQ rights being what they are today. In 1940s Germany, trans people were targeted first with the burning of the Institute.
Well, that's not trans people being targeted, that's trans research being targeted. And why was it targeted? Wasn't Hirschfeld Jewish? So is it not plausible that by extension they saw it as like a part of like fucking Jewry or whatever word they say? So was it trans people being targeted, or were they incidental in that? I'm not saying that's a good thing either way, but it's not very accurate to put it that way. And it seems like we're going for maximum like oppression points instead of accuracy.
Are today. In 1940s Germany, trans people were targeted first with the burning of the Institute for Sexual Research. Thereafter, that exact persecution spread to all LGBTQ+ members.
Yeah, I mean, like, didn't Hitler write about his like beliefs in Mein Kampf? Wouldn't we kind of know who he was targeting? Wouldn't we know who he was scapegoating? And my guess is that would lead you back to the very obvious conclusion. It's Jewish shit. It's, yeah, maybe conservative, communist stuff as well. Jesus Christ, maybe communist stuff as well.
Members with violent and tragic consequences. And the point I'm making is not about the consequence.
Was it a tragic consequence that Hirschfeld or someone in his institute tried to stick a womb into a man and he died? Was that tragic?
Is about the precedent starting small and then expanding outward. The term unprecedented.
The precedent? What precedent? We don't live in the same time. One fact he's missing is a lot of those gay and trans people that targeted were Jewish. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like, it's still not good. I mean, I'm not a fucking Nazi. I don't agree with targeting Jews, let alone fucking gays or trans people. You know what I mean? But we're being very dishonest. And we're harking back to Nazi Germany to make a point about a country that's got nothing to do with Nazi Germany.
Is a term you've heard many times at this point, and what it means is never done or known before. In other words, something that is unprecedented may seem outlandish to speak about if never experienced, which is exactly the issue of establishing a precedent of hate towards the most vulnerable minority. It becomes much easier to spread. That also means
there is just no evidence whatsoever that what this person is saying has any basis in reality. Like, just because something happened a certain way once, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen again. This idea that history repeats, like, I don't know. You'd have to show it repeating over and over. Like, did gay people continuously keep getting rights and then getting them slashed away, getting them brought down again? Or are we just lumping in with gay people with other people? Like, we'll go back to slavery. Well, it happened to black people and then it happened to gay people. But those aren't the same people. Those aren't the same situations. Gay people weren't getting ripped away from their homelands to go and do something somewhere else and getting treated fucking appallingly. You know what I mean?
Tolerated against these groups becomes also more severe. It's also incredibly important to note that in Germany, this all started under the guise of protecting children as well. And Germany
Reduction of youth
is far from the only place to have done this exact playbook. The entirety of the LGBTQIA+ was deemed as inappropriate and dangerous for children here in the USA between 1950 to 1960.
Okay, almost none of this shit existed. Like, QIA+, all that stuff, that did not exist in the 50s. What are you talking about?
This was deemed as inappropriate and dangerous for children here in the USA between
most vulnerable minority is middle-class white men. Yeah, it kind of seems that way, Jesus.
1950 to 1960. Only recently...
Yeah, and all this stuff got removed. And something like Don't Say Gay would not have had the same kind of severity as something like this. Like, I really don't see how gay people are going to get a bunch of rights and then it's going to start being stripped away again en masse to the point where they're back like where they were in the 40s or something. I just don't think there's a case for this at all.
And dangerous for children here in the USA between 1950 to 1960. Only recently, the Don't Say Gay Act targeted trans individuals, first saying gender diversity should not be taught in schools.
Well, there's a good case for that. Because you're putting ideas into kids' heads about things that they're arguably too young to understand. Do kids understand the permanence of gender treatment? Should they then be taking on these identities? Like seeing all these like colorful things and all this kind of shit and wanting in on that? It just doesn't make any sense. And this is not the same as whatever was going on in the 50s.
However, that quickly escalated into all LGBTQ books being removed. Then, once the precedent that LGBTQ books couldn't be allowed in schools, they removed them from the libraries. The pattern was to start small. LGBTQ books couldn't be allowed in schools, they removed them from the libraries.
Remove them from the libraries. Like, did that happen as well? Like, because the thing is, like libraries, schools, etc. I guess those are like federal buildings, maybe. I don't know, someone correct me on this because I'm not American. But the thing is, stuff like this, you can still get hold of these books anyway. You can still buy them. As far as I know, they've never banned them from stores. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, banned from libraries and schools. Like, I don't know, man. I don't want teachers teaching kids about straight sex porn stuff either, just the minimum sex ed. Yeah, I'd agree with that. VTuber not based doesn't add up. I don't know. Most VTubers I've seen are cringe as fuck, but I don't know.
The pattern was to start small, set a precedent, and then expand. Oh, did I say was? I meant is.
Because where does this point to that gay people are no longer able to like freely and live their lives? You know what I mean? Freely live their lives, go out and get good jobs. Fucking wasn't Pete Buttigieg one of the potential candidates to be the Democratic fucking presidential candidate? Are we that far away from a gay person potentially being a president of the United States? Those kids can still go to county library and get whatever bound book they want. Oh, okay, fair enough. Oh, school libraries. So it wasn't schools and libraries. And like, even if that was the case, they're not removing, you know, you can still buy those books, right? Removing from the libraries, check the request room and disc. Okay. I'll have to look later. Sorry, my brain is not on at the moment.
It's very much happening right now. Even though this was all under the guise of protecting the children, it was the children who suffered the most. This resulted
Like, how so?
in a higher frequency of bullying towards all LGBTQ.
How would you pin this on that? I don't understand that at all. The impact of book bans. How do you narrow it down to the book bans and nothing else? Other than equating correlation with causation. I'm not sure how you would even begin to do that.
Kids. It also exasperates the feeling of isolation given that LGBTQ plus kids no longer have anything that represents them in the school. And it's widely known yet ignored that being LGBT.
I mean, even if it's not in, they don't mention what's in the LGBT books. Yeah, that's true. Like some of the ones I've heard of and seen bits of, to me, I don't see why they should be allowing that in schools, quite frankly. Like some very adult concepts that we're trying to push onto kids and insisting that they need to know this kind of stuff when they just don't. At a certain age, maybe they should understand that like trans people exist or whatever. They should be taught that like you might start feeling like same-sex attraction. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a feature of being human, apparently, or potentially. Yeah, the book bans cause bullying. Yeah, I don't know how you would begin to show that.
LGBTQ plus is not
like lacking representation. Well, you've still got representation like all sorts of places. Do you need that kind of shit in like schools specifically? Why? That isn't the point of gay pride. I told my kids about the riot and people died, how it really should be more of a somber occasion. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I didn't need to be represented at school. I worry about how we talk about representation. I worry that we're trying to like, I don't know. It's like we're all turning into narcissists. We all need to be able to see ourselves in everything. When I don't know, like when I watch things, I don't necessarily need for there to be some British mid-30s transsexual named Mary in all of them. If I watch a thing about like Muslims or like Africans and it's interesting to me, then it's interesting to me. I don't give a shit if I can't see myself in any of these people. It's more just whether something's compelling to me. Like, I worry that we're like turning into fucking massive narcissists over this shit. We need to have, there needs to be this trans character and this character that over the course of your video game realizes that they're non-binary and we have a massive conversation about it that completely interrupts the flow. Like, I just don't know, man. I just don't know. We're all people, are we not?
Not a choice. So getting rid of all the representation that was there for them is absurd.
Getting rid of all the representation. That's an incredibly weird way of summing that up, quite frankly. Most of these kids identifying as trans would have been bullied anyway. True. I wasn't even like I'm not gay. I never have been gay. Like I tried it. It wasn't for me. Like at school, I got called gay constantly. I got treated like I'm a gay and thus needed to be fucking bullied for it constantly because I just wasn't as like macho or whatever. I don't know. Like I got that kind of shit all the time. I wasn't gay. It still fucking happens. Like you get bullied for being different. That's just kind of how it is. If you're the only black kid in an otherwise all white school, you might get shit for that and that sucks. It shouldn't be that way. But like removing all the LGBT books, is that going to change that really? How are we going to show that?
Another severe and recent example of this divide and conquer strategy is religious exemption law. One such law allows doctors to deny trans individuals treatment. And although that was pitched...
Well, the thing is, trans treatment is... It's not like getting a heart transplant when yours doesn't work or something. It's not like dealing with a potentially fatal but very treatable disease, you know what I mean? It's cosmetic, if anything. A lot of them more autistic and socially awkward. Yeah, true. Yeah, like, often these kids that end up being trans, they were like weird and different for plenty of reasons anyway, you know what I mean? And if you're treated like you're different constantly, you'll feel alien to people. You'll potentially start feeling alien to yourself. The things that you see in other people, like binary gender and stuff, might start feeling alien to you. But that's more of a case of like you were treated a certain way. And that's become your reality because you internalize that shit than anything else, to me. Like, certainly I felt that way. I've always felt completely alien to other people because I am like autistic and weird and like mentally ill and stuff. And like that probably was a part of why I ended up transitioning, because I couldn't relate to being a guy. That didn't mean that I could relate to being a girl instead, but like, I don't know, man. It's difficult. We have to like ignore an awful lot of factors to make this kind of thing work.
As specifically in anti-trans law, there's also clauses in there that allow doctors to deny same-sex couples. Because now, whether or not you're LGBTQIA or plus, you can be denied service places because of religious exemption laws.
I mean, I don't agree with this. I think this is silly. If someone's got some kind of problem that needs sorting, I think probably the doctor should sort it irrespective. But trans healthcare is not really the same thing. If you're gay and you have fucking lung cancer or something, you're going to need help irrespective of whether you're gay or trans. Doctors promise to do no harm. Some could potentially believe gender medicine is harming the human. Yeah, true. And the thing is, if they promise to do no harm, surely they would have to serve gay people who have actual genuine medical issues, you know?
To those listening closely, you may realize a pattern by this point. Step 1, segregate.
And we're talking about a pattern. I don't know, man. I don't really see it going this way personally. I don't even know how old this person is. I don't know what understanding they actually have of the kind of historical things they're talking about. I think I probably should read a handful of things and that's about it. But you don't know what it was like for them. That's why I try not to make too many judgment of like how things were in the past, because I just don't know. I'm 34 years old. I'm not 134. I didn't watch all this shit happen with my own 2 eyes.
Exemption laws. To those listening closely, you may realize a pattern by this point. Step 1, segregate the most vulnerable group of people, and in any given scenario, the easiest group to target is the one most easily othered from societal norms. Step 2, spin a narrative that something about them is dangerous for children. Step 3, establish this danger as a precedent, burning down any research along the way.
This person sounds like Lewis McClung. Please work on your on your delivery. It's actually starting to grate on my ears pretty badly now. Like, there's no evidence that this is going to happen apart from, well, it happened before. Like, I just don't, where does this person think we're going to end up exactly? This is complete speculation. Like, adverse things might happen. Things might go up and down, you know what I mean? That's just kind of how it is. But in terms of like general societal progress, it feels like gay people, even trans people, have made a lot of progress and are a lot more accepted by general people. So I think any actual like huge crackdown for no apparent reason on like gay or trans people or whatever probably wouldn't be taken very well. But that's not what we're seeing here. And like, we don't actually look into any actual context for anything that happened, any context for why certain laws are being pushed. We did the whole, there are 300 whatever bills. We didn't look at any of them. We didn't actually talk about any of them. We don't make any effort to understand things from the other side before talking about it. So honestly, this person's commentary is kind of worthless.
4, expand that precedent to everybody else within the community. Once the mass population accepts that trans
Like, you haven't shown this pattern at all.
individuals are somehow indoctrinating children by just existing, the same...
Like, this feels like indoctrinating children. You've got this avatar that looks like it's aimed at kids. The way you're talking, you sound like a dub for like an anime or something. This feels like you're trying to indoctrinate kids, to be honest. I think there's a bit of like fucking projection going on here. Notice how people ignore things like the genuine cases of danger to children due to things happening in spaces. Yeah, of course. You're only going to push the things that back up your thing and not take the whole picture for what it is. All this progress is getting flushed down the toilet by crazy activists. Well, some of it is. There's going to be things that were a thing that are now getting revoked. And I feel like these people don't understand that we've been pushing way too far, way too fast. Oh, hi, Serena. We're watching a vTuber tell us how the LGBT without the T harms all LGBTQA+. Hope you're good.
logic can apply to gay and lesbian people. And I wish that was a stretch, but there's already examples, so
there's already you haven't shown any of this, mate.
So many examples in history as well as recently. A perfect example of...
Like, unfortunately, a very glaring flaw with this is that we just don't live in the same time. And like, why is it things have changed? And now we're seeing a few bills and stuff. But it doesn't seem like overall there's this push to like get rid of LGBT people from like public spaces, get rid of them from society. It doesn't seem like that's what we want to do. It doesn't really seem like to me that that's what fucking Trump is fucking doing. I don't think. I remember Plain or Walk explicitly saying it's good that drag queens are very colourful and kids are drawn to that. Yikes. Not a fan of that kind of thing. And I'm someone that thinks that drag doesn't have to be like adult only, but it depends how they're doing it very much. Like, not just any drag should be done in front of kids. Like, it should be heavily like kind of scrutinized, and we should make sure that like it's suitable. And unfortunately, it didn't seem to happen with like the drag queen kid events. It seemed like they just pushed the kind of shit that you would see in like your average drag show, which sucks, because now things are going to swing back again, because we tried it and we started seeing inappropriate shit. So yeah, it sucks. I doubt Trump knows what he's doing either. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had some of these executive orders, but none of them have stopped trans people from existing. Like, we're going to see some like crackdowns on like healthcare, but that's been for like young people so far. And there's reasons as to why you might not want trans healthcare for young people. To me personally, I don't think young people should be making those decisions at that age. But hey.
Broader implications, as well as a modern one, is Russia. The gay propaganda laws.
Yeah, the US, the UK, wherever else you want to talk about, is not like Russia. Like, I don't know, man.
Targeted LGBTQ plus under the guise of, again, protecting kids. Again,
that doesn't mean that not wanting drag shows in front of children means that we're going to turn into Russia next. That's nuts. This is a crazy comparison. This is guilt by association. Two people say, sorry, X says Z and X is Russia. Y says Z. That means that Y is now also Russia. That doesn't make any sense. You don't know anything else apart from the fact that they're both saying that same thing, and now you're linking them together. That is not a good argument. Crackdowns on healthcare is meaningless in the USA. If you have the money, you can get anything done. That is true, yeah.
Trans individuals were among the first targets, but the law expanded to all LGBTQ plus media, including books, films, and...
Okay, does that mean that the US law is going to start expanding, where you can still buy any of these books that have been banned from schools specifically? None of this means that that's going to happen there. What if it just doesn't? What if that just doesn't happen? Or things start moving the other way again, when some of the crazier shit coming out of trans people starts dying down, and we start finding some kind of happy medium because people got their heads out of their asses and decided, maybe we should fucking compromise a bit. You know what I mean? It's just... like, you're kind of banking on more of this stuff happening and you being right. Like, obviously the hope is that you wouldn't be right, but then you've pushed this extremely ridiculous video that has scaremongered people into believing something's going to happen that is not going to happen. Look at this. First they came for the socialists, blah, 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 blah. First they came for complete thought-terminating cliche, cringe, ridiculous. This person is scaremongering. They don't know any of this is going to happen at all.
Social media accounts. This also led to bad...
Hitler criticized capitalism, leftists criticized capitalism, therefore. Yeah, that's the level of argumentation we're getting here. Absolutely. And people like fucking ContraPoints do the same thing. I watched her JKR video again to get some examples. Like, it's full of that kind of thing. There's guilt by association. Two different people say the same thing. Therefore, they're the same. That's not the case. Why is one person saying it? Why is another person saying it? What are the contexts of those two people saying that same thing? Does it even mean the same thing? Has it got more than one meaning in general? We don't consider any of that. I think this person is a... Jeez. Listen, I don't know. I'm not making any judgments that way, but it's a bit weird making this kind of thing in this like weirdly like neotonized way. I don't know how old this person is. They've got a Patreon, I don't know. Creating online multimedia. They've got 8 posts. How long has this been here for? Just over a year. They've had 8 posts. And then... that's just support. Support. Oh, so these tiers don't promise anything. So, I don't know, man. yeah, there's no like actual tears, which I guess fair enough. Listen, being honest about it, you're not actually getting anything really. It's just supporting. I don't know. I probably need to fucking do a Patreon. I'm sick of YouTube fucking me around. But hey.
Banning gatherings and organizations not unlike anti-drag laws would eventually do here. And of course not
Would eventually do what? What did anti-drag laws lead to exactly? Bear in mind, you can still practice drag anyway. RuPaul's Drag Race has not been fucking cancelled. You can still consume drag, mostly so long as you're over 18, without problems.
Jules were among the
Because, like, what if they're being honest? What if it is to stop children?
Mary.
This is why I keep saying wait until election 2028 to see if anything they're saying actually happens. Hold on to all this fear-mongering for when Trump finally uses up his second term and see if they were right. If they're not, they embarrass themselves.
Based, fully agree. Thank you, Sama Yamazaki, for the $1. And yeah, the thing is, like, if this person's wrong and nothing happens for the next 4 years, they're not going to, like, take this down. They're not going to take this back. These people never do. They say all this crazy shit and rile people up. And then when they turn out to be wrong, they just move on anyway or start scaremongering another thing. It's ridiculous.
first targets, but
yeah, and what I was saying was like, well, the other problem is, well, what if they're honest? What if they are just trying to keep kids away from that whole thing, which unfortunately is kind of a precedent as to why they might want to, because the whole thing is, like, I don't know, has this person seen that video of those kids like putting like dollar bills into these drag queens like pants in that club in Texas, wherever it was? That shit's grotesque. Like some of the stuff that they talk to these kids about in these like drag queen story hours, I don't think it should have necessarily gone this way. If these like drag queen events that kids were allowed to go to were kept like, you know, pure in that sense, it probably could have worked. Because like drag can be quite costumey and stuff like that. They don't have to talk about sex. They don't have to talk about fucking LGBTQIA and stuff like that. Oh my God, these women that showed up to the city council meeting dressed in drag. One in the blue wig being like, I had to hide from my Uber driver that I'm in drag. Like, when I get more time, I should watch that whole thing. I think I found it somewhere. I didn't really want to watch someone's reaction to it, but I don't know. I do want to have a look at it. It was that Worcester, Massachusetts or something, being a sanctuary city or something. Like, I don't know, man. That kind of place would make me feel more unsafe, quite frankly. Like, I feel anxious when I go to like gay-specific spaces because I don't know what will happen if someone... Well, I mean, someone probably will recognize me one day. I don't know. I'm not fucking famous or anything. I don't claim to be. But someone might recognize me one day. I've pissed off enough people locally, you know what I mean? So who knows?
the law expanded to all LGBTQ plus media, including books, films, and social media accounts. This also led to banning gatherings and
This is Russia, is it? We're still talking about Russia. Is that
organizations not unlike...
Yeah, we're still talking about Russia. Like, I don't know, man. What happens if your country just doesn't follow suit in this way? And that they just wanted certain things? What happens if not everything is a fucking slippery slope? Like, the amount of fucking slippery slopes I hear about constantly from both sides. I'm amazed that anyone is ever able to stand upright, quite frankly. It's fucking annoying that every single thing is a slippery slope to something. Like, no one can ever just advocate for the thing they want and just kind of go for that and try and establish some kind of happy medium where we're not pissing off entire groups of people because we want too much. I don't fucking get it.
Anti-drag laws would eventually do here. And of course, not unlike the West, this led to more violence and persecution towards the LGBTQ
And again, how do we show this? It's really hard to tell.
as a whole. All of this
Because the problem is there's going to be so many different factors that might lead to more violence being carried out against certain groups. And the thing is, when things get more politicized, people might be more likely to exaggerate things or report things as like whatever the fuck when they don't necessarily have to. Stacey K is coming for you. I fucking hope so. Listen, I could take that fucking loser any day of the week. I'm not scared.
This is nuanced, and those that can read
I still need to watch that Progressive Victory thing that has Stacey K in it. The shit she says is like so fucking dumb. I watched it recently. I think I watched a Queeman react to it or something, so I just wanted something to put on for a short while, and I remember that being funny. I didn't get to see all of it the first time, and like The amount of stuff she says that did not age well at all, like how the Democrats are going to continue to get more progressive and it's going to help them win. I can't remember what she said exactly, but it was like, you did not. This did not age well, bro. But she's a fucking moron in general. You can read her Twitter for like 10 seconds and understand that Stacey K is an idiot.
In between lines, as well as look at a broader picture, will see this. History, as well as recent examples, show that targeting the trans community acts as a test run to push a large...
It does not show this at all. You're spitballing. You don't know any of this. Again, I don't know how old this person is. They sound about 12. But they're probably older than that and they're trying to sound younger. I don't know. Like, this is nuts. What are you talking about?
Larger anti-LGBTQ plus movement. But when it comes to these movements, it's not about the T in the LGBT.
I made this point before and I'll continue to say it. All these like people that are like freaking out when someone like Trump gets in charge. How much are we likely to see people getting so freaked out and so scaremongered? They end up like potentially harming themselves, killing themselves because of this irrational fear that they develop, partly because they're listening to things like this. It's kind of terrifying in a way, if you think about it. Like, I refuse to believe that that is not something that is potentially happening. And this kind of thing is like deeply irresponsible. They don't seem to care that they're freaking people out because they seem to think it's necessary or something. Well, it's not necessary and it's hurting people.
BTQ, it's about whatever is easiest for them to hit first. Because you can most rest assured that if it wasn't the T, it would be the L, G, or B first.
You can rest assured based on literally nothing. Okay, fam.
And then it would come for the rest. And that is just the uncomfortable truth. Attacking
the uncomfortable truth that you have not shown and you don't know anything about this. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. You're having a shit fit because things aren't going your way right now and you want other people to be brought down to your level. Just the same as people like Council of Geeks or Jesse Gender or any number of these people that exist to scaremonger and freak people out because they want people to be as fucking freaked out as they are over the fact that their candidate lost. And they're now going to have to deal with the fact that the person that other people wanted got in. And that maybe things are not going to be quite as ideal for trans people for a little while. But that doesn't mean that any of this is what they're saying is going to happen.
Trans rights, or in any scenario, the easiest link is like lighting...
Yeah, my stepdad killed himself with TDS. Like, Jesus Christ, that sucks.
A match in a dry forest, but once the fire spreads, there may be no stopping it. It's a vicious snowball effect that has worked time and...
With scaremongering. You don't know any of this. You're trying to freak people out. Potentially young audience. You are trying to freak out. I mean, I don't know. I looked at this already. Like, I don't know. It's just very neotenized. It's hard to describe. But like, this is not, I refuse to believe that this is like appealing to or aimed towards like adults. Like anime addicts, maybe, you get them of all ages, but like, yeah, we're like radicalizing people needlessly. Radicalizing people for no good reason is not a good thing. Like, I'm sorry. You want people to be on your level. That's what it comes across like.
Time again. So if those that align themselves with LG...
Not suicide, the hysteria gave him a heart attack. Ouch. Well, I mean, hey, like maybe. Like stress is a powerful thing and stress does not have to be rational at all. Over 137k subs. Yep, that's how it goes. There's a reported news story of a man killing his wife, kidding himself because Trump was elected. Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that. It's fucked. It's completely fucked. And what these people need to understand is that life goes on. It might not be as ideal for you as you thought it would be. You might actually end up finding that you benefit, even if you don't think it's a good thing. Because you are worried about what other people are not benefiting. But like, to go that far, it's just crazy. Please don't assume all us weebs like this content is offensive to us. Listen, I'm not saying that. Listen, there's a lot of good weebs out there, trust me.
B without the T continue to do what they feel is easy, they will set themselves up for a very hard life. If you want to help me spread this message, then please help me see...
If you want to help me spread this message, I don't. I want to fucking... I want to do anything I can to push back against your message because you are freaking people out. You are scaremongering. It's terrifying. And then like we've got this shit. Like gamer subs. Is this what you want your shit attached to? Really? Like, is this company like down with this shit? I don't agree with like going after sponsors, but it's a bit egregious that we're seeing this featured on this video where we've just scaremongered, pushed utter bullshit. And like, hey, listen, you can scaremonger and make things up and join dots in history that aren't even necessarily fucking there and get fucking members. You can get monetized easily. Someone like me watches stuff and pushes back against it. That's not good enough, apparently. I don't fucking know. I don't get it. This platform is a bit fucking crazy, in my opinion. Anyway. Amazing. There's a few cases of TDS murder. Another young lesbian killed her dad. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Not good. It's not good. If you want to help spread the message. Yeah, we're acting like it's like some call to action. Like you're helping all trans people stick up for our rights and stuff. You're not. You're contributing to this mass fucking freak out that is going on. That is not helping people. It's not good for people. Anyway, I'm getting quite depressed thinking about this. Nasty. Please do not listen to people like this. Please use your brain and understand that this person does not know more about history than anyone else. This person does not know what is happening. There was another trans VTuber that harassed Pika Me. Is that one of the ones that, who is that? That's not one of the ones that did that played Hogwarts Legacy, was it? Who is that person? Let me just check quickly. I've got a bit longer than I thought I did. I'd have to finish quite as, wait, Hogwarts Legacy came up. Yeah, I kind of remember the name. BB out, fuck knows. Were they one of the Hogwarts Legacy ones? Yes! Oh my god, I watched something about this. You can see, I watched a couple of fucking Asmongold things. They were like bullied over wanting to play Hogwarts Legacy. Absolutely nuts. Crazy. And sorry, what were you saying? There was another trans VTuber that harassed Pikami. Sponsored by them, if I remember correctly, and Weaves went after them and severed the contact. That's fair enough. I don't know how much I like people going after like sponsors and stuff. It's not something that I want to do or encourage. But at the same time, some of these people are disgusting. Like, I find going after people because they want to play a fucking Hogwarts game disgusting. Like, utterly ridiculous. Like, this Hogwarts Legacy thing, I'm probably going to bang on it for the rest of time because it was one of the big things that like really started snapping me out of this shit. Because I realized how utterly ridiculous we were behaving. You know what I mean? Person he bullied was Marina BT. Let me just look into that person really quickly. Not that I'm suggesting, listen, don't go contacting these people. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just interested. The most controversial VTubers. And I'm guessing this person is lumped in with Nux Taku. How nice. Is that this person? I guess it must be. There's not much stuff on here though. Twitch partner. I can't remember if I'm a Twitch partner or a Twitch affiliate. I can't remember. 28.7k followers. Fair enough. 3 months ago. I don't know. But yeah, not down with this shit. Oh, they've got Twitter. That's not what I meant to do. Bear with. Progressive politics and human rights. I make bigots mad. Like, this is all extremely, these are all red flags to me. Like, I see this flag. I see progressive. I see mention of bigots. I think you're probably a terrible fucking person. I'm sorry. That's judgmental, go for it. I've just had so many people go off on me that are like, that are about this kind of shit. No, you're right. Wow. Didn't help though, did it? You still didn't win. Didn't win. Yeah, I think Nuxanor and Nuxtaku are two different people. I can't say I'm a big fan of Nuxtaku in any way. I've only ever really heard him on that podcast that he used to do with that Mutahar person. I was never really blown away by his takes, and like the lolly stuff always, it's just always going to make me uncomfortable. I don't know. Me personally, I'm just not down with it. Followed by Vorsh, yeah. What else do you need to know?